Hi, today I want to talk to you a little bit about programming. I see a lot of confusion about the difference between beginner programs and advanced programs and when you should move up to a more advanced program. So what we have is adaptations. You need to look at when you're adapting to the weight that you're using and when you move up in weight. So when you've adapted to the weight, then you can move up. Well, if you're adapting on a daily basis, like let's say you're going to work out 3 days a week, then you're at a beginner level. We would also count if you're going up in 2 workouts, if you're going up in weight. We would still consider that to be a beginner level workout. Now, eventually what will happen is you'll stop adapting to that. You'll have to go longer. You'll have to do more workouts in order to move up in weight. And then that'll switch to a weekly emphasis. So every week, you'll find that you're going up in weight. And then you'll want to ride that until that doesn't work anymore. Then you'll switch to a bi-weekly plan, and then every 2 weeks you'll find yourself moving up in weight. Now this is just a natural progression. The more you work out, the harder it gets to get those adaptations. All the easy adaptations come at the beginning because it's largely neural. What happens is you can lift more weight than you think, but you're just not used to it. So we put the stress on the body, and then eventually it does take a little bit longer for you to adapt. It does slow down. So you're eventually going to move to a weekly, then a bi-weekly increase in weight, like maybe 5 or 10 pounds for a lower body lift, maybe 5 or 2.5 pounds for an upper body lift. Now, the longer you lift and you keep going, eventually it's going to stretch out to a monthly adaptation. You're going to have to work out for an entire month before you move up. And then eventually, you'll need to work out for 6 weeks or 2 months for you to move up in weight. Now, the thing that I really want you to get from this video, the take-home message, is that you never, ever want to use more complex programming than is needed. If you can get a result, if you can get that increase in weight by using a simpler method, you always want to take it. And the reason is this. If I can get you an increase in weight on a daily basis, why would I want to have you on a program where you're moving up 5 pounds, maybe 10 pounds once a week? Why would I do that? If I can get you 5 pounds in 2 days, why would I want to wait for a week to move up? It doesn't make sense. It's the same thing. If you can make progress on a weekly basis, if I can move up 5 pounds between here and here, why would I want to be on a monthly program where I move up 5 pounds once a month? It doesn't make any sense. And it's the same thing for the more advanced programming. But what I'm finding is that a lot of guys, they confuse this. So for example, I'm just going to let you know, according to what when I train people, we consider a daily or a weekly increase to be a beginner level. Bi-weekly to monthly, we consider to be an intermediate level. And if you need 6 weeks or more in order to get a small increase, we would definitely consider you to be advanced. Now, a basic beginner program would be something then like starting strength. These are linear progressions where you're moving up every workout. Same thing for Grayskull linear progression. Same thing for my 5-5-8-12 system, which we've had a lot of success with beginners with this. And also early Texas method because we're moving up weekly. Now, at the bi-weekly level, every 2 weeks, I count Texas method on that because what happens is we've noticed that sometimes it'll take 4 workouts to get that little increase. Eventually, Texas method stretches out a little bit in the way that we run it. And then the most famous program that a lot of you are familiar with will be 5-3-1. But now the thing about 5-3-1 is Wendler has you going up 10 pounds in a lower body lift every month. So what we found is we see beginners doing 5-3-1 and maybe their squat or their deadlift is 70 kg, and then they'll work for a month on that, and then they'll move up 75 kgs at the end of the month. The thing is, they could have squatted or maybe deadlifted 70 kgs on Monday. Definitely by Friday, we could have had them up to 75 kgs. So what happens is they left a lot of gains on the table. So a lot of beginners will get frustrated by doing these little baby weights for an entire month when they could have gone up on a weekly basis. But there's a lot of confusion as to when they should be doing these programs. And frankly, some of the people that are writing some of these programs, they're not real clear as to when you should be doing them. They want to tell you, well, 5-3-1 is for everybody and all that. Well, in my opinion, it's not. Because if you can get gains faster than that, I just don't see why you wouldn't. Now the next thing is that sometimes we see beginners who are not ready for this doing Smolov, Shako, etc. So I sometimes see these people that say, yeah, Shako was really great. It got my squat up to 120 kg. The thing about Shako, Smolov, and all these other powerlifting programs is that is very complex programming. If you use Shako or something to get your squat up to 120 kg, then I certainly hope you weigh about 40 kg, because otherwise you probably wasted your time with more complex programming than you needed. You definitely could have ridden something like starting strength or GSLP for a much longer time, and you could have gotten 120 kg squat a lot quicker than you did. And definitely you could have used 531, a much simpler program than Shako, to get those same results. And in fact, if somebody's telling me that they're squatting around 120 kgs, I will not recommend these programs at all. This is something a lot of beginners and a lot of intermediates don't understand. You will eventually need the more complex programming. You're going to need that programming later on. But if you're doing that programming, that complex programming too early, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because you're leaving gains on the table and you're using more complex programming than you need. So then when you need it, you're going to have to move on to even more complex programming. And that's a really, really bad idea. So keep in mind that there's different levels for these programs. Pick the program that's right for your level and don't jump before you need it. Really work the heck out of all these programs and get all those early and intermediate gains and save these complex programs for later. All right, thanks.